What is up, you beautiful collectors and Batman the Animated Series fans? Thanks, all of you, for tuning in. Once again, it is the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, I'm going to be taking a look at something that I've been waiting for I think 7 or 8 years now. About that time ago, the folks over at DC Collectibles released a ALFRED Pennyworth figure, but the only way to get it was if you bought the very large and space prohibitive Batman the Animated Series Batcave. To this date, that was one that I always regretted not getting, in addition to the Batwing. This figure is very hard to come by because of that. Most people, in terms of selling it, sell it for a lot of money because that Batcave went for, I don't even remember. It was pretty expensive. But the nice thing is here we are, 2024, actually celebrating the 25th anniversary of Batman Beyond, which I'm officially debuting this week as Batman Week here on my channel. We got ALFRED first, and then we're going to be switching gears to the future and taking a look at some other figures in the Batman universe that come after this, which I'm very excited about as well, because those are also very hard to get figures. But ALFRED is an iconic character. Batman... Well, I mean, let's start this off. That Batman was probably one of my top favorite characters in the DC universe. Very much like Iron Man. Normal human, no superpowers, has a genius intellect, has a lot of gadgets, things like that. Batman and Iron Man are very similar. But one thing that you can always say is that Batman probably would not have been as iconic. He's always going to be iconic, but a lot of what Batman was successful at was because of ALFRED, and I don't think ALFRED gets as much credit as he deserves, but he was a absolute pivotal role in the success in Batman being a crime fighter. So I'm super happy to finally get this figure, because the folks over at McFarlane Toys, who now have the license for these figures and are carrying over a lot of those ones from DC Collectibles, decided to do an individual release of ALFRED, which I absolutely love and appreciate. Now, I do hope that they will at some point in time release the Batcave. Like I said, it was a very large set, very expensive set. I don't know if they're going to. Maybe they took this figure out of it because a lot of people wanted that figure, but maybe didn't want that Batcave because of how big it is. So maybe they split it up and they're not going to give us the Batcave, which if they don't, they don't. I'll be okay with it because I got the figure. But they have announced that I think around Christmas time they are going to be releasing the Batwing, which was another one that I always wanted to have, but I never got, and then I always regretted it. So I'm 100% going to be getting that the second time around. So thank you, Todd McFarlane, for doing this. He's never going to see these videos, but whatever. I'm super grateful. I'm super excited to be visiting these again for the package, much like what we got with a lot of them. Although I think that ALFRED is kind of a standalone figure. I'm not entirely sure, but all the Batman Animated Series figure re-releases have come with a Build-A-Figure piece, which made it a little bit more different than that previous release from DC Collectibles. ALFRED doesn't. And then when you come around to the back, you just got this very cool, very iconic image of ALFRED. The other figures always would show the figure, and then they would show like the Collect and Connect figure and the other figures. And this doesn't. So I think this is just a standalone figure, which I'm okay with, because I mean, like a lot of those other figures, I already have them, so I don't need to buy them. And then the Collect and Connect, they're kind of one-off, no-name kind of characters, so I don't really have much of an interest. I might get the Joker just because that Joker by DC Collectibles that I have is him without his trench coat. The one that so far has come out by McFarlane Toys is him wearing a trench coat and like a top hat. I can't remember exactly what episode that was. Maybe that was the episode where he got really angry at somebody that was driving, and little short chubby dude, and like kind of held on to him as having like a favor kind of a thing. I want to say that that's the episode that comes from, but I do like that trench coat and stuff. That's really nice. But you got the very cool Batman Animated Series logo right down here. As you can see, you got a smaller image of what we have here on the back. The side here is just his name kind of thing. So really very cool. Open window, fully showcasing the figure on the inside. Like I said, very excited about finally having this. And now that I know how to use iMovie, I think I'm going to be able to do a cut here. I still can't enter in my theme or anything like that, but I can still do a cut. But that's a very large intro for this figure. So without further ado, let's get this guy out here and see how cool he actually is. And you know what? I've missed saying that. You know, the part about let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. I've missed saying that. So I'm enjoying that, to say it again. But here we have Alfred open up and out of its packaging. And I like the figure. I'm very happy with the figure. Very not happy with what happened to the figure. And you'll see here in a minute. Starting off first, unlike the DC collectibles version or DC Direct, whatever they were called, the Batman animated figures, for the most part, are not coming with display stands. The display stands were actually kind of cool, but also kind of a pain in the butt. The actual base had kind of like a 360 sort of image for the figure, or the character, I should say. And then it had a clear stand thing in the back. That didn't really work all that well. It had like a little pole, and then had a little grabber thing that like you would put around the waist. It would make more sense just to put pegs on them for the peg holes that all the figures actually have. That would have made more sense. But in lieu of that, the folks over at McFarlane Toys have decided to give us these collector cards, which I'm okay with. But you got the image of them that we saw in the package come on the back. Got a little bit of a read up on him. Talks about how he was a former British intelligence officer. So it really shows how intelligent and how capable he is, and how he is a perfect partner to the greatest detective of all time, that being Batman. So that's kind of cool that we have it. Now, accessory wise, he comes with several different things. So you got two kind of like clutching hands that you can kind of see. You also do have these hands, which are more like relaxed hands, just kind of like open hands, not really doing much or anything. But then he also does come with a pair of fists, which I feel is kind of pointless, because why would he go around punching anything? This is definitely a case where I feel like McFarlane Toys could have improved on that previous release by giving us a hand that can hold his feather duster. Now, the feather duster is where I should have noticed that there was going to be problems. What is happening here? Set this over here. When I took this out of the package, I tried pulling it out, and this snapped off. Now I've glued it back on, so it's perfectly fine. But in terms of it's just the feather duster, but you can see where. Well, I actually did a pretty good job. It's clear glue, but it broke down here, so that part snapped off. But you can see that you got the feather dustery thing. He can't really hold this though, and I guess, like, I mean, you can kind of, I don't even know, kind of set it in his hand like that. That's not terrible. You can kind of, like I said, wedge it in there. It's not bad, but it looks weird, because who holds a feather duster like that? How about the other hand? I feel like that would be the same. I got to be very careful with how that. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of do that with it, but it's not sitting in there very well. So, like, I feel like they could have taken one of these fisted hands and actually kind of made it where you could put that in there and have him hold it. With these are just way too big. I mean, you could do something like that as well, but again, it's just sitting in there. But the hands, they're very large C-grip hands, so you can't really hold it all that well. You can rest it in his hand, but again, it's basically just gonna, no, which one? This was the one that actually did a pretty good job, but I'm not gonna be able to use this one. And again, you'll see why. That one actually holds it pretty decently. Something like that. But he also does come with a serving tray. I feel like the serving tray is too small, and the reason is because he comes with like this little saucer right here, and then you take a cup which has like a slightly different coloration in there, and then you can set that there. Hold on, I'm gonna try setting this down because I'm probably gonna drop it. All right, so you put that there. You have a teacup, which again, there's the biggest thing with this serving tray is there's not a lot of space, as you can see. And then you have this, which is like a little bowl. I don't know what you put in the bowl, but shit. This maybe like a little sugar thing. So again, you put all this on there, and there's not a lot of space for it. Like I feel like the serving tray needs to be a hair bigger to get all that on there, because otherwise you can see it doesn't, there's not a lot of space with it. But you do get a little teacup, get a little, I mean, now if you take the saucer off, then you have plenty of space, but that saucer just kind of helps with, you know, the whole presentation of it. So like that works. I also kind of wish that these had little pegs on them and peg holes. So again, this is not a knock against McFarlane Toys. This is more of a knock against like the actual release of it from DC Collectibles, that they should have designed it that way. I think that, you know, McFarlane could have improved upon this, but they didn't. But I'm not going to hold that against them. Now, Alfred, amazing looking figure. All of these figures, going to the design of the DC Collectible folks, literally these look like they jumped right off the screen. That it is amazing. It's an absolutely amazing representation of Alfred. Great paint detail on there, great likeness, everything all the way around. You got the very clean, very black and white tuxedo with like the little bow tie there coming on the back. He's got the tail feathers right down there, all the way down to the very nice shoes. The figure itself is fantastic. I absolutely love him. And you can see that he looks decent, except that happened. And I should have known better. As I was going through breaking the joints in, I felt like I could push it up a little bit further, and it ended up ripping off. Now, you can see that I can kind of wedge it in there, and I'm more than likely just going to glue it. But you can get it wedged in there. Let me see here. You can get that in there. Kind of. I mean, how did I have that in there before? Well, shit. Well, I thought I had it. You could see it. It was in there. It just kind of like wedged. There we go. You just find where it was supposed to be and wedge it in there. So I can do that, and that'll look fine in my display. And it's on there. Just because the way that it's designed, it kind of sheared off, and there's friction that I can definitely do on there. I can kind of sort of feel where the articulation, and I can actually rotate it still. So it's like I feel like I can probably glue it. I don't know necessarily, though, if it'll then just completely lock it in position. Also, that looks really bad. Or if it'll be functional. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm more than likely just going to leave it like that, which I think looks perfectly fine. And then I'll put his feather duster in his hand, you know, and that'll be the display for him, which realistically, that's what I was going to do anyhow. So, you know, it is what it is. This was entirely my fault, though, so I'm not going to knock anybody on that. Like I said, the joint felt stuck, and I forced it, and it broke. It's entirely my fault. So I'm not going to knock it for that at all. The only thing that I'm going to say, like I said, is like, you know, the stand, you know, not having a hand that really holds that. That is all stuff that, for the most part, I already knew, but I didn't care that much about, because now I'm going to be able to have him displayed with my other Batman animated series figures, which I think is great. The articulation is very similar to what we got before. You have the ball joint, so you get a good range of motion. I'm not going to touch this one. The shoulders are on pin hinge joint, so you can rotate that in and out, forward and back. You do have a bend at the elbow and a rotation at the elbow. And then the wrists also do rotate around, and then they do hinge forward and back. You do have a waist joint. It doesn't give you a ton of range of motion, but you can see a little bit that way, a little bit that way. But you don't need to do a lot of action poses with Alfred. You just don't. Legs do move forward and back. Get that out of the way. They move in and out. They don't rotate or anything like that. They bend at the knee, and then the rotation is down here at the actual ankle. I don't know if they move forward and back. I feel like they kind of do. Oh, no. Oh, shit. Okay, no, that's just... Whew, I thought I broke it again. That's just a swivel right there. So let me pop that back in. It just swivels around. So I seriously thought that I broke it again. And then pop this out, pop this hand in, get it in there. There we go. And get this guy in there. And like I said, kind of wedge that up. Although the other one did a better job of wedging. So something like that. I mean, that's cool. Oh. You know, I'm just going to leave it like that. Hold on, I can still swap out these wrists. Like I said, it holds in there decently. You just can't really articulate it that much. So, keep that wedged in there. Where'd you go? There it is. So... yeah, that actually holds in there a little bit better. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. So, kind of position that. And now there you have Alfred, just kind of hanging out there. And again, like I said, the problems that I have, you know, that's carried over from the original release of it. McFarlane could have changed it a little, but not that big of a deal, honestly. But for the most part, I do really like the figure. I'm very happy to have them. If I ever can find another one that's relatively cheap, I'll probably pick it up to kind of replace the damage on this one. But all in all, very happy to have him. He is, in my opinion, a must-have for a Batman animated series display, especially if you have those other ones and you did not want to get that Batcave. An individual release for him, I think, is fantastic. I'm really happy about it, even though I would have bought the Batcave. If they decide to come out with that again, I'll more than likely pick it up, just like I'm going to be picking up that Batwing. I don't know where I'm going to display either of them, but I'm 100% going to be picking those up because I love them. So there you go, guys. There's my look at the new McFarlane Toys Alfred Pennyworth. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, do me a real quick favor and hit that thumbs up button. Doing that gives me a like, and it lets it so the algorithm knows that people are enjoying my videos, and they'll send it out to more people so that more people can watch my videos. Also, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribbled. Doing that is all down there. You can click on all those different buttons, things of that nature. But that's about it, guys. So thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, remember, this is Batman Week. We're starting things off with Alfred. Coming up next is one that I'm very excited about. But stay tuned. And until next time, this is Optibotimus saying adios, au revoir, and I'll be the same.